In this section, you are going to learn some important banking features which are present in Tally. This section is divided into two parts. In part 1, you are going to learn about check management, where you will learn how to configure check for printing, and the part 2 of this section deals with bank reconciliation. So in the part 1 of this section, you are going to learn how to configure checkbook information in Tally and define check numbers and the range which is present in the physical checkbook. Alright, now let's see how to add information about checkbook in Tally. In Tally, we need to update the bank ledger so that it can contain information about checkbook. So we already created a bank ledger in the name of SBI account. So we need to modify it. And in order to modify a ledger, we use the alter option to modify a ledger. So select the alter option and select the ledger that you want to modify. So I want to modify the SBI bank ledger. Navigate to the option Set Checkbooks and change it to Yes. When you press the Enter key, you will be getting a screen which is referred as Checkbook Management. Over here, you need to define the check range from your checkbook. And when I say checkbook, I am referring to actual physical checkbook which your bank provides. And when you look at the checkbook, you would notice each check would be having a check number. And we need to update the check number information over here. Now assume that in my checkbook, my first check begins with the number 1. So I need to specify that information over here in the field from number. So over here I need to define the beginning range of the check and press the Enter key. In the field to number, you need to specify the check number which is on the last check of the checkbook. So assume that the number on my last checkbook is 50. So I need to specify that number over here and press the Enter key. Notice that Tally has auto calculated total number of check leaves which are present in the checkbook. Now press the Enter key and provide a name for this checkbook. So I can give it a name like checkbook number 1. Now at this point you can press Ctrl A and save this information, or you can press the Enter key and define another range for another checkbook. So if I want to define a range for one more checkbook which the bank has provided, then I can enter that information over here and press Ctrl A to save the information. Alright, so we just added checkbook information which is associated with this bank ledger, and now we will configure print settings for this checkbook. And in order to proceed further, make sure that you select the bank name in the field bank name. So let me specify the name of the bank, which is State Bank of India, and select it and specify the branch where your account is operated. One important thing that you must remember is that in order to get list of bank names, you need to be connected to the internet so that Tally can update the list of banks over here. And it is mandatory to specify a bank name in order to proceed with check printing configuration. So to configure check printing, change the option to Yes over here and press Enter. Alright, as soon as you press the Enter key, you would be presented with list of check formats. So you can see here there are various format of check leaves which you need to select, and you need to select the format which matches with the format which is on your physical check. So suppose the format on my physical check matches with CTS format 3, then I need to select it and press the Enter key. And if it matches with assume that format 2, then I need to select it and press the enter key. So depending upon the bank which you specify over here, the relevant check format would be available. So in case if I would have specified the bank as HDFC Bank, then my check format would be something like this. So over here I need to again specify the format which matches with my physical checkbook and select it. So therefore it is mandatory to specify the bank name over here in order to select the format, otherwise you would not be able to select the formats over here. So once I select the format, let me select the format as CTS format 3. I would be provided with the screen which is referred as check dimension screen. So over here, depending upon the format that you select, the measurement information about the check would be presented. So you can see here there are various measurement parameters related to this check. So you can see here the width of this check is 203 millimeters. So all this measurement is in millimeters only, and most of the times this information is accurate, but in case if you wish to specify your own dimension by measuring your physical check, then you can specify it over here. So you can measure your physical check using a scale and specify the dimension in millimeters over here. And by using a scale you can measure the dimension of the physical check and the position of the fields and compare its value with the values which are present over here. And in case if you feel like you need to change a value, then you can navigate to that field and change the value. And over here for the fields in company signature details, you can specify signature information to be rendered on the check. So whether if you want to print the company name on your check, then you can change the option to yes over here. And if your check requires signature of 2 people, then you can specify their names over here in this manner and specify the location or the position where you want to place these details. And when you are ready, you can preview your check format. In order to preview the check format, you can press the shortcut key Alt P and press the letter Y to preview the format. So over here you can click on the text zoom over here in order to zoom in, and by previewing the check you can guess how the check would be printed and what information that it would contain. And to be on the safe side, I recommend that before printing actual check leaves, you can take a photocopy of a check and then you can print these details on that check, so you can understand whether all the content is fitting in the right place and in the right position. And in case if you feel like making any change, then you can always go back by pressing the escape key and change the dimensions by measuring it with the scale. And if your check requires signature of one person, then you need to leave this field as blank and specify the name of the signatory over here in this field, salutation of second or single signatory. And if you preview the check now, you can see that the salutation information is more on the right side. Have a look. So this is how you toggle settings about check dimension and the information which needs to be present on the check while printing. And you can go through each field and read the name of the field, and the names are quite self-explanatory, and you can decide for yourself how you want to position a particular thing on the check. And after specifying all this information, you need to press Ctrl A to save those details, and Tally will prompt you to print a sample check. So you can either press the letter Y to print the check, and before printing, Tally would preview how the sample print would look like, and then you can click on the text over here, print, so that it will print the actual check. And then you would be taken back to the ledger alteration screen, where you need to save the ledger again by pressing Ctrl A. Alright, now I will pass a journal entry where I will demonstrate use of check management. So I am going to record this entry where I am going to pay rupees 17,700 to a supplier through a check. So how do we pass this entry? And we know that in order to record entries we use accounting voucher. So I will select that option. And to make payment entries we use the payment voucher, which I am already in, and I will debit the receiver's account by rupees 17,700, and I am making this payment towards this invoice number which I am specifying over here, and I am going to pay this supplier from my bank, SBI. Alright, so over here you can now press the spacebar key and specify the medium through which you are making a payment. If you are making payment through RTGS, NEFT or net banking, you can select the option e-fund transfer over here. And if you are making a payment through check, then you can select the transaction type as check over here and press the enter key. And when you select the transaction type as check, you may notice that the check range is the beginning check range and the instrument number is the first check number, and it means that until all the checks gets exhausted in this check range, Tally will utilize all the checks from this check range, and the instrument number changes in consecutive order. So once I utilize this check, then the next instrument number would be 2 by default. So this is the default behavior with respect to check range and check number. Now at this point, if I press the enter key, my cursor will navigate to the field cross using. So over here you can specify the text that you want to place between the parallel lines. So you can write any text like something like this and press the enter key and specify the instrument number in case if you wish to change the default instrument number over here. And after specifying the instrument number, press the enter key and specify the date on which you are issuing the check. And after specifying all the information, you can either press Ctrl A or press the enter key from the last field, and the cursor will then navigate to the field narration, where you can provide a narration about this transaction, and after that you can press Ctrl A to save this entry. So as soon as you press Ctrl A, Tally will prompt you to print the check. So in order to preview the check, you can press the letter Y. So you can see that this would be the information which would be printed on the check, and you can see that the information that we provided at the bank allocation screen, for example, we have crossed the check using the text not negotiable, and the date is as per the instrument date which we specified in the bank allocation screen. So after confirming the preview, you can click on the text print in order to print the check. So this is how you print checks while passing the transaction. And in Tally we can also check report of how many checks that were issued, And in order to check that information, select the option banking at the gateway of Tally. Then select the option check register and press the enter key. So over here it will display all the bank ledgers and its available checks out of total checks. So here we have one bank ledger which is SBI account ledger, and for this bank account we are left with 99 checks out of 100 checks. And further, when I press the enter key, the details would become more specific. So over here I would be able to see information about the checkbooks which I have. So I can notice that I have two checkbooks and each of it has 50 check leaves, and out of it I have utilized a check from checkbook number 1. So the available checks in the checkbook number 1 are 49, and the checkbook number 2 is still not utilized at all, so it has all 50 checks unused. And further, when I press the enter key, I would be able to see particulars about each check and how it has been used. So I can see that check number 1 has been used for paying right technologies, and I would also be able to see those checks which are available to be used. So this is how you can check out the check register option. And also there are fields like unreconciled, reconciled, blank and cancelled. The field unreconciled will display total number of checks which needs to be reconciled. So as of now there is only one check which we have issued which needs to be reconciled. So once that check is reconciled, the number in the column reconciled will change to 1, and the number in the column unreconciled will become 0, indicating that there are no checks which needs to be reconciled, and total number of checks which are reconciled is 1. And in the field blank, it will indicate total number of blank checks which we have issued. So out of these 100 checks, if we have issued 5 blank checks, then the number in the column blank would change to number 5. Similarly, in the field cancelled, it will display total number of checks which you have cancelled out of 100 checks. So that was all about check management in Tally. In the next video we will discuss about bank reconciliation, its purpose and how we perform bank reconciliation in Tally.